Welcome to Tell Me More Stories Told as Podcast.
Great to be here.
Today, we're really diving headfirst into the, well, captivating story of Lindsay Lohan.
Definitely a fascinating one.
I mean, picture this. A kid model at just 3 years old, then, by 10, she's already a show business veteran, and just 2 years later, boom, she's a global Disney star in The Parent Trap.
It's quite the launch. We've got a whole lot of information on her journey, from that incredible start through all the complexities of fame and right up to her recent comeback.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack the most interesting bits of Lindsay Lohan's story, give you a shortcut, kinda, to understanding her path, some surprising turns, and, well, why she's still someone people talk about.
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's rewind. Early career, say 1989 to about 2002.
Right. So 3 years old, signed with Ford Models. Just think about that.
Before she's even in kindergarten. It's wild.
And not just any modeling. We're talking Calvin Klein Kids, Abercrombie. These are, major brands.
And the commercials, I read she did over 60 TV commercials. Pizza Hut, Wendy's.
Even one for Jell-O with Bill Cosby. Yeah. That's an incredible amount of on-camera experience before hitting double digits.
It really must have built a foundation, so acting was the next logical step.
Seems like it. At 10, she landed a regular role on the soap Another World. Daily grind on set. That's serious training for a young actor.
But the moment everyone really noticed was 98, right? The Parent Trap.
Oh, absolutely. The Disney remake, playing twins Hallie and Annie. That's a huge ask for anyone, let alone a 12-year-old in her first big movie.
And she pulled it off with such, confidence and charm. It was really something.
It was. The film did great, too. Made over $92 million worldwide, got pretty good reviews. But the real buzz, all about Lindsay.
Yeah. What were they saying?
Critics were seriously impressed. They were comparing her to Hayley Mills, who did the original, of course. That's high praise for a debut.
No kidding. And she won a Young Artist Award for it. Plus, that led to the 3-picture deal with Disney, right?
Exactly. A huge vote of confidence from the studio.
Interesting, though. I heard she was cast in a Bette Midler pilot.
She was, yeah. Played her daughter.
Yeah.
But she left when production moved to L.A. Seems like she had a clear idea of where she wanted to be, even then.
But she stayed with Disney for a bit longer. TV movies.
Life Size in 2000 with Tyra Banks, and then Get a Clue in 2002. So keeping busy, building that resume.
And wasn't there something about music early on, too, before the pop albums?
Good point. Yeah, 2002, she signed a 5-album production deal with Emilio and Gloria Estefan. So even then, people were noticing her musical potential.
Okay, so that takes us up to around 2003. And this next phase, 2003 to 2005, this is where things really, exploded.
Absolutely. She went from being this promising Disney kid to a full-blown teen idol, seemingly overnight.
And Freaky Friday in 2003 was a huge part of that, wasn't it, with Jamie Lee Curtis?
Definitely a key turning point. Great chemistry between them. And apparently Lindsay pushed to make her character, Anna, feel more, mainstream, more relatable.
That shows some real insight for someone her age.
It does. And it worked. Critics loved her performance. People were throwing around comparisons to a young Jodie Foster, even. She won the Breakthrough Performance at the MTV Movie Awards in 2004.
And the movie was a massive hit financially.
Her biggest, actually. $160 million worldwide. Plus, she learned guitar for the role, sang the song Ultimate for the soundtrack, showed real dedication.
Then 2004 hits. Wow. 2 big movies.
Yeah, a massive year. First, Disney's Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. Did pretty well domestically, even if the critics weren't totally sold.
But the other movie that year...
Mean Girls.
Yes, a total game changer.
Right. Critical hit, commercial smash, $129 million globally. And importantly, her first film outside the Disney deal. It marked a real transition.
Mean Girls wasn't just a hit, it became part of the culture, iconic.
Totally. Cemented her status as a teen idol, a proper Hollywood actress. Years later, The New Yorker ranked her performance as one of the century's best so far. That's how much impact it had.
And awards followed.
Oh yeah. Teen Choice Awards, MTV Movie Awards for both Confessions and Mean Girls. She was cleaning up.
So after Mean Girls, her fame just went stratospheric, right? Paparazzi everywhere.
Exactly. Vanity Fair called her a household name. And with that level of fame came, well, intense media scrutiny, constant attention.
She was really in the spotlight. Hosted SNL 3 times around then.
Between 2004 and 2006, yeah. And hosted the MTV Movie Awards in 2004, youngest ever at 17.
And while all this acting stuff is happening, she launches a music career.
Right. Debut album Speak in 2004. Went platinum in the US, sold over 1 million copies, peaked at #4 on Billboard.
That's huge. What about the singles?
Rumors, and overdid well, overtopped the bubbling under chart. Rumors got an MTV VMA nomination for Best Pop Video. She was genuinely successful in both fields at the same time.
Incredible momentum. Then back to Disney in 2005.
For Herbie, fully loaded. Made good money, $144 million worldwide, so the reviews were a bit more mixed on that one.
And wasn't there a doll?
Oh, yeah. The Mycene doll. She was the first celebrity to get one from Mattel. Even voiced herself in the animated Mycene movie. Kind of shows how big she was in that moment.
And a second album, too.
A little more personal, raw, later in 2005.
Yeah.
Peaked a bit lower, #20, but still went gold. She co-wrote most of it, seemed more, well, personal, like the title says.
And she directed a music video.
Yeah, for Confessions of a Broken Heart, Daughter to Father. Featured her sister Aliana. That song was actually her first to hit the main Billboard Hot 100 chart, #57. So, still making moves in music.
Okay, so that covers the peak, sort of. But then things started to get complicated. Let's talk about the period from around 2006 to 2013.
Yeah, this was definitely a more challenging phase.
Mm-hmm.
Career setbacks, less work overall. It started around 2006 with Just My Luck.
The romantic comedy, I remember that one.
It didn't do great at the box office, and the reviews weren't kind. It felt like a bit of a shift after the string of hits.
So she started doing smaller films? Indies?
Seems like it. She was in Robert Altman's A Prairie Home Companion in 2006. Interestingly, people actually praised her singing in that.
Oh, right, and Bobby. Emilio Estevez's film.
Yeah, that same year. Got good notices for her part in that ensemble cast. They even got a SAG Award nomination as a group. So, some positive spots, but definitely different from the big lead roles.
There was Chapter 27, too, about John Lennon's killer. Filmed earlier but came out later.
Filmed in 06, or at least in 08, yeah.
Yeah.
But then came Georgia Rule in 2007. And that had some well-publicized issues during filming.
The letter from the studio executive, yeah, I remember that. That couldn't have helped things.
No. And reports started coming out about her losing roles. Films like Poor Things, A Woman of No Importance. It seemed like things were becoming difficult professionally.
And I Know Who Killed Me in 2007. That production was interrupted, too.
By her health issues, yeah. Appendectomy, rehab stints. And when the film came out, well, it didn't go over well at all.
Didn't she win Razzies for that one?
Dual Golden Raspberry Awards for Worst Actress, unfortunately. It was a definite low point, career-wise, raised a lot of questions about her bankability in the industry.
But she didn't completely disappear. There was music, a guest spot.
She released a single, Bossy, in 2008, which actually hit #1 on the dance club chart in the U.S., so it still had fans in that scene. And she did 4 episodes of Ugly Betty.
Right. And the TV movie Labor Pains.
In 2009... that was originally meant for theaters, apparently.
Yeah.
She also popped up as a judge on Project Runway, trying different things, staying visible.
Then in 2010, that documentary about India.
Lindsay Lohan's Indian Journey, British TV. Reviews were mixed, particularly about her role as presenter. And that was the year she was reportedly let go from a film called The Other Side because she wasn't seen as bankable.
Ouch. That's tough to hear.
Definitely. She did a fashion shoot in a docu-series, Double Exposure, and appeared in Robert Rodriguez's Machete. Varied reactions to that performance. And filmed a sketch for Inappropriate Comedy, though that took ages to come out.
But she seemed to be trying to turn things around. That Vanity Fair cover in late 2010.
Yeah, she spoke very openly about wanting to revive her career. It felt like a statement of intent.
So, heading into the 2010s, more attempts at a comeback. SNL again.
Hosted for the 4th time in 2012. Mixed reviews again, though. Brief appearance on Glee. An art film called First Point.
And then the big one, playing Elizabeth Taylor.
Liz and Dick.
Yeah.
The Lifetime movie in 2012. Yeah. The reviews were largely negative, unfortunately. Didn't quite land the way she probably hoped.
Followed by Scary Movie 5 and a guest spot on Anger Management with Charlie Sheen in 2013.
Right. And also in 2013, the indie thriller The Canyons. The film itself got panned, mostly, but some critics actually singled out her performance as positive.
Really? That's interesting.
And then, kind of out of the blue, she filled in as host for Chelsea lately and got really good reviews, best ratings of the year for the show. It showed she still had that spark, that ability to connect.
Okay, so that leads us into the next phase, maybe 2014 to 2020. It feels like a shift towards TV and other things.
Yeah, definitely a focus shift. In 2014, she had that docu-series on Oprah's network, OWN, called Lindsay.
Right. Following her move back to New York, trying to get back to work. Very public attempt at a reset.
Exactly. And that same year, she took a big leap, made her stage debut in London's West End. David Mamet's Subid the Plough.
How did that go? Theater's a different beast.
Mixed reviews for her performance. But, a brave move, putting herself out there like that.
And she popped up on a Duran Duran song.
She did. Danceophobia in 2015. Just keeping a toe in the music world, it seemed. She also filmed an independent thriller, Among the Shadows, but that got delayed and didn't come out until 2019.
Wasn't she in a UK comedy series, too?
Sick note. A recurring role in the second season in 2018, and then 2019 was quite busy.
The reality show? The Beach Club?
Lindsay Lohan's Beach Club on MTV focused on her club businesses in Greece. Ran for one season.
And Masked Singer.
Down Under. Panelist on Masked Singer Australia in 2019. She was popular on it, but couldn't return for season 2 because of COVID travel restrictions.
Right. But also, in 2019, news about music again.
Big news for fans. She re-signed with Casablanca Records, her original label, and in 2020 released Back to Me, her first single in like 12 years.
And people liked it.
Yeah, it got positive reviews. It really felt like, okay, maybe this is the start of something sustained, a real comeback brewing.
Which brings us pretty much up to date. The last few years, 2021 onwards, definitely feels like a resurgence, right? Especially in film.
Absolutely. The big turning point was the Netflix Christmas movie in 2022, Falling for Christmas.
Her first major film role in ages, people were excited.
They were. And she didn't just star, she sang for the soundtrack to originals and a cover of Jingle Bell Rock.
How was it received?
Huge hit for Netflix. Most watched holiday movie release in the US that year. And importantly, the reviews for her were generally really positive. People felt like, yeah, she's still got it.
She also narrated a dating show around then.
Love struck high for Amazon Prime Video in 2022. Just keeping her voice out there, literally.
And Netflix clearly liked working with her.
Seems so. Signed her to a 2-picture deal. The first was Irish Wish, which came out earlier this year, 2024. Critics praised her. Seasoned radiance, I think one said.
Nice. And the second film from that deal?
Our Little Secret. Started production this year, so the momentum's definitely there.
Plus, the news everyone freaked out about. Freaky Friday sequel.
Yes. Set to reprise her role, expected in 2025. That's going to be huge.
A starring role in a TV series, too.
Yeah, she's set to star in and produce a Hulu drama series called Count My Lies, also planned for 2025. Her first lead role in a series, it really feels like a solid, multifaceted return.
It really does. Now, beyond acting and music, she's dipped her toes into quite a few other things over the years, hasn't she? Fashion, for instance.
Oh, for sure. She's been the face of big names like Jill Stewart, Miu Miu, Fornarina.
And didn't she recreate a famous photo shoot, Marilyn Monroe?
She did. Monroe's The Last Sitting. And here's a little fun fact connecting back to her early days. Apparently, during the filming of The Parent Trap, she got really fascinated with Marilyn Monroe after watching the movie Niagara.
No way! So that interest started way back then, kind of foreshadowing things.
Exactly. And she didn't just model fashion, she created it. Launched her clothing line, 6126, back in 2008.
Oh yeah, the leggings line initially, right?
That's the one. And she even had a stint as artistic advisor for the fashion house Emmanuel Ungaro for a bit. More recently, she's done jewelry lines, sneaker collections, even nursery accessories.
Wow, branching out. And hospitality, too. Clubs and resorts in Greece.
Yep. Lohan Nightclub opened in Athens in 2016, followed by beach resorts in Mykonos and Rhodes starting in 2018, which led to that MTV show we mentioned.
And digital stuff, apps, websites.
Released a mobile game in 2014, Lindsay Lohan's The Price of Fame. Launched a lifestyle site called Premium in 2017. And, fittingly, started her own podcast, The Lowdown with Lindsay Lohan, in 2022.
She's definitely kept busy across different areas. Now, we can't really talk about her journey without acknowledging the intense media focus on her personal life, especially the legal troubles back in the day.
Right. That was obviously a huge part of her public narrative for many years, particularly up until about 2013. It's worth mentioning she's been probation-free since 2015. She's also talked about having a turbulent childhood, which adds another layer.
And things seem more settled now, personally.
It appears so. She married financier Bader Shammas in 2022. They welcomed their son last year in 2023 in Dubai, which has been her home base since around 2014. It seems like she's found a more stable private life there.
Okay, before we wrap up, if you're enjoying this deep dive into Lindsay Lohan's really fascinating story and want to hear more captivating narratives like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out on future explorations here on Tell Me More.
Definitely subscribe.
So looking back at everything, wow, Lindsay Lohan's journey has been anything but straightforward.
Not at all. From those dizzying heights of early fame, navigating some really significant personal and professional challenges, her story is, well, it's a pretty compelling example of resilience and reinvention.
What strikes me is the cyclical nature of it all, how she's managed to grab the public's attention in different ways throughout her life, and just her continued drive creatively and entrepreneurially.
Absolutely. She keeps finding ways back into the conversation.
Which kind of leads to a bigger thought, maybe for our listeners to chew on. In a world that loves to define people by their past mistakes, what does Lindsay Lohan's resurgence tell us about second chances? About the possibility of, rewriting your own narrative.
Hmm. That's a really interesting question to consider.
It is something to think about long after this deep dive ends. Thank you so much for joining us on Tell Me More Stories Told as podcast.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you'll tune in next time for another intriguing exploration.